So after the Cubs' pitiful appearance in the postseason, I knew I had to do a rebuild on them. And if you guys don't know by now, I'm a Cubs fan, and it was ugly. It was ugly watching watching them play against the Marlins. I mean, the Marlins wanted it more. They won, obviously, but wow, were the Cubs bad this season, and it's time for change. I think the core needs to be broken up. I think some players need to I think they need to let them walk, and I think it's really time for change in this clubhouse. And I think it's time to really send a message to the players that it's starting to be cutthroat, and it's great to have this camaraderie and build each other up and like everyone's best buds, but like at the same time, you guys gotta win. Ever since the World Series, it seems like a lot of complacency's kind of started to creep into the clubhouse, and for me, I think it's time for change. So today we're breaking the core of the Chicago Cubs, and I hope you do enjoy the video. If you do, hit that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoy the content, and of course get in the comment section today. Tell me how your favorite team did this season, and are you happy with their performance? Basically, are you happy with what your team did this season? Of course, tell me who your favorite team was, so I'm not just guessing. Don't just go into the comment section and be like, yeah, they did good, because I don't know who your favorite team is. You got to tell me. So let me know down below. We're going to hop in today's video. I'm going to keep the intro short, and oh boy, this was the Cubs are so bad, man. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to simulate this season basically to kind of emulate what happened this year, just get it done with, and then we're going to start this rebuild in the off season, and we're going to handle it how I would approach it if I was in the front office. How I would really I would be so cutthroat this offseason. It would be ridiculous. So let me get through the season, and I'll see you guys once we get to the offseason. We start making some big moves. So like I said, I'm just taking it as if the season's over. We're in the offseason, and how I would approach this offseason if I was in the Cubs' shoes. So when we take a look at the team, obviously we know the core. You've got Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Schwarber, Contreras. Those are kind of like the main offensive pieces to the Cubs lineup, except for this year. They were absolutely atrocious. They were non-existent. It was bad. Ian Happ was good. Jason Hayward is one of the most consistent players the Cubs had all season. David Bodie led the team in RBIs, and he started maybe like 10 games all season, which is kind of sad. You know, it's just the team just is kind of a mess. The pitching was my biggest worry this year, and it didn't let me down 9 times out of 10. Yeah, there were some bad games here and there, but most of the problem was all on the offense, which is something that you would not expect with the Cubs. So let's hop into it. Let's talk about it kind of quickly, because I don't want to just ramble. Anthony Rizzo, I don't think he becomes a free agent this year. I think it's next season. I just think for some reason in MLB The Show he becomes a free agent. What I would do is I would talk to him and be like, all right, we've got a contract season. This is what's going on. You better play your heart out. We resign you after that. For me, I don't think he has too much trade value. So trading him, you're not really going to get much in return. And he's kind of the captain of the team. I feel like getting rid of him, I think, would actually hurt the team more than it would bring in something positive in return. So I think Anthony Rizzo is safe. That is a player I'm okay with keeping. Jose Quintana, from day one, he was kind of set up for failure. It didn't matter what happened. He was never living up to the fact that they traded away Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease for him. He could have won a Cy Young every single season he was here. And I mean, if he won a Cy Young every single season he was here, and we won a World Series every single season he was with the Cubs, maybe then we would have forgiven the whole trade. But I just don't think, you know, he was ever going to live up to the hype. I would give him one more year. I feel like if he can stay healthy, be, you know, a 3 or 4 in the rotation, that's all we really need him to be. You know, we've got Darvish, we've got Hendricks, or flip those two, whatever. You throw Quintana in the 3 spot, Mills, Adbert, Alzolay. That's your starting rotation. If you don't feel comfortable with Mills or Alzolay in this 4 or 5, put one of them in the bullpen as that long reliever, and then just bring in, you know, a low risk, high reward type pitcher. If the Blue Jays don't bring back Taijuan Walker, I think that would be a great player to give a shot to in the starting rotation. We'll talk about that in a sec. Andrew Chaffin, injured when we first acquired him. Cubs are really lacking a good, reliable lefty in the bullpen. I feel like they bring him back. They give him a shot. see how he does. If he does well, you just continue to bring him back. That type of situation. John Lester, I love the guy. One of the best signing the Cubs have ever made in their history. I just think his time is done. I really do. He didn't really seem to have it this year. You know, he had a couple okay starts, but I felt like the majority of them, it wasn't the same John Lester. And at 37 years old, I just think it's time to part ways with him. Just be like, you know what? No hard feelings. It's just time to move in a different direction. So that's just how I feel. Tyler Chatwood just didn't really pan out. You know, he had flashes of really good pitching, just injuries and inconsistencies hurt him. Jason Kipnis, great guy, okay ball player, you know, like solid ball player. It's just he shouldn't be the second baseman every single day. Nico Horner should be the everyday second baseman, starting guy, and Jason Kipnis should be the backup, the platoon guy. And I felt like that's one thing that was kind of gotten wrong this year with the Cubs. I felt like Nico Horner should have gotten a lot more playing time over Jason Kipnis. Billy Hamilton looks to be the new Albert Almora Jr., where he's basically a defensive replacement or a pinch runner. That's really what it comes down to. Like a last resort pinch hitter. I'm okay keeping Billy Hamilton for another season. You know, you give him just a bottom contract, pay him, say, hey, that's your role. You're the platoon guy. Cameron Maybin didn't really understand the trade. I don't really know why they went out and picked him up. I would have rather just kept Almora Jr., but great, you know, he's a good guy. Just I don't feel like I'd bring him back. Jeremy Jeffress, the most consistent bullpen arm all season, kind of pitched with the chip on his shoulder, and I felt like he definitely deserves to be brought back next season. Daniel Descalso, I don't understand why the Cubs ever signed him in the first place. AJ Ramos is not on the team anymore. Boom. That's that. Let's keep going forward. So this is where the big stuff happens. This is where I start making big moves. Arbitration. I'm going to offer it to everybody. And you're probably like, well, that's not a big move. That's just bringing everybody back. I'm not going to bring back Tepera, Perez, or Fegley. Fegley is not even on the team anymore. I don't know about Hernan Perez anymore. But I'm going to offer everybody arbitration. And then once spring training hits, I'm trading Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber. And this is why. Wilson Contreras is one of the best catchers in baseball. I feel like he still has a lot of value. And yes, we do have Victor Caratini. Yes, we do have, you know, Miguel Amaya, Ethan Hearn, and Ronier Quintero in the farm system. But I feel like keeping Wilson Contreras, unless we get a crazy offer from a team, it makes sense to keep Contreras. Javi Baez. He may not be, you know, top 5 shortstops anymore. I mean, the shortstop position is so stacked in baseball right now, but Javi Baez is still a very good shortstop, and finding a very good shortstop is really hard. It's just really hard. I'll just leave it at that. So I feel like keeping Baez, keeping Contreras, and then keeping Rizzo of the core makes the most sense, and then saving the money with getting rid of Schwarber and Bryant. That way you can spend it in pitching or any other holes that are left with those 2 departures. So boom, that's what I'm going to do. Ian Happ, center fielder or left fielder, starting job. Bullpen, I think, is okay. Maybe sign a guy or 2, but I feel like that's the move going forward. But those 2 guys are getting traded. I'll see you guys once we make those moves. All right, so I thought about this trade quite a bit, and it's one involving Chris Bryant. And I was like, well, who would trade for Chris Bryant? The Braves? They could. Who would the Braves give up in this situation? Would they have to part ways with, you know, they're kind of like third baseman for the meantime in Austin Riley? Would that be someone they have to give up? Who else could they give up? You know, would they want to give up Drew Waters? Would they want to give up someone like Christian Pache? Would they give up one of their highly touted starting pitchers? And I just don't think the Braves would make the trade. I just don't. Another team that I thought about was the Dodgers, but they just signed that big deal to Mookie Betts. So would they really make that move? And I'm trying to think of like other teams, the Nationals, maybe the Rangers. The Rangers would be a wild card. You know, I feel like who could the Rangers really offer to make this deal work without kind of breaking up their MLB ready players. Maybe a Byron Laura. Would the Cubs accept a Byron Laura plus, you know, maybe like someone like a Willie Calhoun or one of their middle infield prospects, or like a Josh Young, someone to make this deal happen, or a Nick Solak. It looks like Nick Solak's not on the team anymore, but so that I thought about the Rangers. A wild card, another team that I thought of was maybe the Blue Jays. Since Vlad is kind of maybe moving to first, you put Chris Bryant at third, and that offensive lineup's looking pretty scary. You got Bichette, you've got Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel, you've got Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, that team's pretty solid. Would Chris Bryant really fit with the Blue Jays? Would they want to spend that kind of money on a player to win now? And then I thought about the Nationals, and I was like, well, I feel like the Nationals would be a team that are looking to like really turn things around and get back on the winning track. And I was like, well, they normally would have what is it, Luis Garcia, but it looks like they traded him away for Ketel Marte. I think that was the trade that was made. I'm gonna go look right now, but Luis Garcia looks like he's gonna be a mainstay with the squad for a bit. So is he gonna play second? Is he gonna play third? The Nationals also have Carter Kieboom, and then they also have you know, like Starling Castro. They also had Trey Turner. I can't remember if I said his name or not. So with Trey Turner, Luis Garcia, Carter Kieboom, in real life, maybe Chris Bryant goes to the Nationals, and maybe the Nationals send over Carter Kieboom since he's kind of extra. But then I'm like, is that really enough? I know Chris Bryant's coming off a bad year. I still think Chris Bryant has a little bit of value, and I'm gonna throw in Adam Eaton. To make this deal work. I thought about maybe throwing in a pitcher. The Cubs kind of do need pitching, but I was like, who in the grand scheme of things would the Cubs take that would make sense? Eric Fetty, you know. And I feel like we'll leave it at this for now. We'll throw in, like, I don't know, who do you want? You want Michael Rucker? What about Juan Gomez or who do you want to make this deal work? There, boom. We'll do some like that. There we go. So I thought about throwing in a pitcher. I mean, in the end, I don't think it really matters who I throw in. You know, I feel like this is an okay deal for now. If I really wanted to get into like super in-depth trades, it probably would be like Chris Bryant, a player to be named, maybe some money in returns for Carter Kieboom, an MLB ready player, a player to be named, maybe a prospect. It probably would be a big trade. But with this trade, this is what I'm going to do with Chris Bryant. The other player I said I wanted to get rid of was Kyle Schwarber. And now I'm trying to think, do I want to go after a center fielder or a left fielder? And who could take Kyle Schwarber? Who would need Kyle Schwarber? And I'm like, who needs a bat? Who needs a left fielder? And I looked around and I was like, well, maybe the Rangers. Maybe the Rangers could be a team that look for someone like that. Who's another team that could use someone like Kyle Schwarber? And I'm like looking around and I'm like, man, there really isn't that much of a market for it. Maybe the Rockies. Maybe the Rockies could be a team. But yeah, I was looking around and I'm like, oh boy, this is one of the tougher ones. So I looked around and I was like, do we go with the Rangers? Maybe the Mariners, but they've got those young outfielders that are starting to come up. Someone like the Athletics. Maybe the Athletics. So I was looking around and I still don't know 100%. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more deep diving. So Kyle Schwarber took me a little bit of time to think about. And I was like, well, maybe the Twins. But then I was like, who would be someone that the Cubs could get a return for Kyle Schwarber from the Twins? And I was looking around and I've landed on the Rays. And I was thinking about how they have like a crazy amount of pitchers. And that was really what drew me to the team. And I was like, well, the Cubs could use some starting pitching. And Yoni Chirinos could be a player. Maybe Randy Arozarena as well. Just kind of like an extra player. And this is the trade I came up with. I think it would be a close one. Maybe the Cubs would have to throw in like a player to be named later, or like a prospect, mid prospect, low prospect to make this deal happen. But you know what? That's an okay move. It's an okay move. So let me get the team all sorted out, because those are kind of the two big trades. I might make another trade along the way, But let me see what we're working with, and we'll go from there. So here, I'll show you the roster history because we did make some moves. Jake Diekman was signed. Who else? Couple free agents here and there. I don't think I really signed any big ones. Chris Bassett was one, but I didn't go crazy in free agency. There really wasn't too many like good names that I saw that I wanted to add to the squad. Starling Marte was a name. I considered it to play the outfield, but I kind of like this. Cubs have been lacking a true leadoff hitter for quite some time. Adam Eaton gives us that. Like, he gets on base. He may not hit for crazy power, but he gets on base. And that's what we need. We need a guy who can be at the top of the lineup and get on base. You got Baez, you've got Rizzo, you got Contreras, Happ, Horner, Jason Hayward, Carter Kieboom, and David Bodie. On the bench, we've got Martinez, Arizarena, Billy Hamilton, Victor Caratini, and Ildemaro Vargas. I know it's definitely a step back once you look that Schwarber's power and Chris Bryant's power is missing. But overall, I think in the long term, this is a better team. You've got a young Carter Kieboom. You've got a young Nico Horner. You've got Happ, who's going to develop. Baez. You've still got Rizzo, Contreras, a good leadoff hitter with Adam Eaton. And then when you look at the pitching rotation, we've brought in Chris Bassett, who in real life had a really good season this year. And I feel like adding him to a kind of like a rotation that could use a veteran arm like Bassett as a long reliever or even a fifth starter, depending on how Alec Mills does. I mean, we could even swap those guys kind of like this, or just go back to it. We brought back Quintana on a 1-year deal. Boom. We have Chirinos now, Darvish and Hendricks. I think that starting rotation looks really good. We brought in Jake Diekman on a 1-year deal to add another lefty to the bullpen. And this is our team. I think we're ranked 12th, which is not bad. Good defense, contact's good. The pitching's pretty good. It's just we're lacking power, and that's okay. I would rather have players who get on base and, you know, then produce runs rather than just striking out all the time because they're swinging for the fences, which I feel like is something that the Cubs are just constantly trying to do. They're trying to win by the long ball. And I get it. Home runs are very key in today's baseball. But the thing is, you got to make contact, and the Cubs barely do that. So Albert Almora is still in the farm system. I do want to call him up, but he really doesn't have a spot. He really doesn't. It sucks, but that's just the case. So this is the team now. Let's simulate the season, see how it goes. We have a little bit of money to work with. And then when you look at free agency, Craig Kimbrell becomes a free agent. That's a big one. That's a lot of money there. Baez, we got to make sure we keep him. And there's a couple players here and there that we could lower their salary and re-sign them to better contracts. See you guys at the end of the season. See how this new look Cubs team does. And we'll see what we can do with the rest of them. And by the rest of them, I mean the rest of the seasons going forward. So in typical Cubs fashion, we just barely made the postseason. I mean, it kind of makes sense. And we did take a step back. I knew that was going to happen, but we've opened up some money. We're going to be okay, and we're going to be able to spend some money in free agency, even with the contracts of Wilson Contreras and Javi Baez coming, you know, to like the point where we need to pay them big bucks. So we'll take a look around the league, see how things kind of panned out for everybody. You know, we're 13th, and I mean, we're 9 games out behind the Reds, but I still feel pretty confident with the team. And looking around the rest of the league, I mean, we're pretty competitive. We're 92 wins is low, but at least we're competitive. So, all right, let's take a look, see how certain players did. And okay, doubles for Acuna. All right, triples for Trey Turner, Luis Robert, home runs. Okay, all right. Castellanos led the league there. Chris Bryant with 38, which, I mean, I knew he was going to do well. That wasn't what I was worried about. It's more of the players that we got in return. I'm hoping that they do well also. Like, I can't trade for players and then they don't do well. You know what I mean? So here we go. We got a gold glove from Carter Kieboom, but it looks like that's about it. Nothing else. Yu Darvish was in the mix for Cy Young, which is good to see, but doesn't look like anything else, which is disappointing. So let's take a look, see how everything panned out. Chris Bassett really wasn't a good signing, which is disappointing. Andrew Chaffin was decent. Definitely take that. Jeremy Jeffers was solid. Jake Diekman was not. Yikes. Rowan Wick was very good. Dan Winkler not so much, and Craig Kimbrell was fantastic. I love to see it. When we take a look at our starting pitching, we've got Yu Darvish, who's probably gonna finish out his contract, even though he's dropping crazy amount of attributes at the age of 34, which is wild. Kyle Hendrick was still very good. Yoni Chirinos was good. Quintana was solid. And I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with the squad. We've got Adbert Alzolay, who definitely should be getting a call up next year to be the 5. Probably. I would assume. Probably. Unless we can find somebody else and we spend the money there. Looking at our bench, it was okay. You know, Victor Caratini was all right. Ildemaro Vargas is actually decent in his appearances. So we've got a decent bench bat there. Adam Eaton was kind of what I was looking for. He just got on base. Like I said, he's not going to hit a crazy amount of like home runs or anything, but he's going to get on base. Ian Happ had a good season with 33 home runs and 91 RBIs. Javi Baez, not fantastic. Anthony Rizzo was all right. You know, Wilson Contreras had a pretty solid season. Nico Horner was pretty abysmal. It was a dismal season for him. Jason Hayward put up solid numbers. Carter Keyboom was okay. Definitely expect better. And then David Bodie was all right. So a lot of all rights. I want to add some more power to the lineup. Probably in this area. I feel comfortable with the rest of the team. Maybe move on from Nico Horner. He's good, but if we're trying to win now, we definitely need to see better. So we're taking on the Padres. Darvish versus Lamet. We win 5-3. I will take that every day of the week. We're going to move Darvish into this spot, and we'll go from there. So, all right, we're taking on the Dodgers. Definitely a strong team. We get the first victory. Taking on Kershaw with Chirinos. We take a second victory. Julio Urias versus Darvish. We do take a loss there, and we win. Wow. Okay, so taking on the Braves in the NLCS. Wild. We've got Mills on the mound, so we could probably just move everybody up a spot and go like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's go like that. Game 1, Soroka versus Hendricks. 3-0 loss. Trevor Bauer with the Braves. Wow, we take that victory there. We take a loss, another loss, and we get eliminated by the Braves, but at least we made the NLCS. That's an improvement. I'm pretty happy with that. Very happy with that, actually. The Indians defeat the Braves in the World Series, and let's keep moving forward. There's no reason to stop the train there. Let's keep moving forward. Let's try to improve this team some more. Like I said, Javi Baez does become a free agent. Probably offer him big money. Might as well. I might even just backload it, go up a little bit more. Boom. Anthony Rizzo, I will pick up the option for the last season. Craig Kimbrell doesn't want that much money. He wants to be a bullpen arm as well, which is even better. So if I can bump that down and leave it there, I'll take that. I'll make it 2 years, actually. But so far, so good. Dan Winkler hasn't been good. Has not been good at all. Does he break that streak? I don't know if he does. I'm going to keep Adam Eaton as our leadoff guy. Andrew Chaffin was decent. I'll definitely give him another season in the bullpen. There's no reason not to. $3.5 million is super cheap as well. And I think the rest of the guys, I'll let go of Billy Hamilton because we got Randy Arozarena. Jake Diekman was atrocious. Jose Quintana was okay, but it's definitely time to move on. And I'm going to take one more shot with Winkler and give him the closer spot. If he does well, fantastic. If not, we're screwed. All right, so let's keep moving forward, see how this goes, and let's take a look. 40-man. Definitely add all those guys to the 40-man. For arbitration, not Bassett. Probably going to let Jose Martinez go as well, but we'll keep the rest of the players there. Everybody's going to get a contract. And ooh, so you remember how I said we're saving money by not paying Chris Bryant? Well. Mr. Christian Yelich. Wow, did not expect that. We could spend money on a pitcher, which Clayton Kershaw, yeah, probably should, but we'll take a look around the league. Chris Bryant's available. We could go after someone like Seager, Story, or Lindor. So Michael Conforto is also a possibility. Adam Eaton has left, or is still on the team, but Ian Happ can move to the infield if we really wanted to. But I feel like since we do have universal DH on, someone like Conforto or Christian Yelich makes the most sense, right? But who of the two, you're gonna have to wait until we start the next season, because I'm going to leave it there with you guys. I'll see you guys for the next season. All right, so last year, and I'll keep it short because I feel like I mean, not too much happened. I mean, we signed Jordan Romano, Rule 5 draft. Decent reliever. Definitely a decent reliever. Hasn't been used yet. Kept Adam Eaton and brought in Anthony Bass, another Blue Jay, who was okay last year, but we definitely need a bullpen arm. There weren't too many good bullpen options either. Signed Gio Gonzalez, but I'm not too sure I'm going to end up using him. Michael Conforto being the big addition. I decided to pass on Yelich. Conforto was like half the price and almost identical numbers. I think there was like 10 less home runs, but like the RBIs, the doubles, everything else was pretty close in terms of run production and everything like that. So as you look at the team, we kind of have a really similar lineup, but Conforto is a new addition, which I think would be a really good bat to add to the lineup. And then, you know, we still kind of have kind of a Cubs core, a new Cubs core with Baez, Contreras, Rizzo, Happ. You've got Hayward still, Horner, and then, you know, Carter Keyboom, I doubt would leave anytime soon. 23 years old, can play all throughout the infield. You still have Vargas, you have Bodie, Caratini, Arizarena, and then, you know, Ed Howard's coming up. This guy I signed in free agency, I think after season 1. He was sitting there. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it, but he looks like a good little shortstop for the future. So, I mean, we've definitely set this team up like pretty well. You can see free agent Robert Fitzgerald. So we've set this team up for success. And you look at budgets sitting around $1 million, which is kind of like my safe spot, my sweet spot that I usually like to aim for. Rizzo becomes a free agent. He'll definitely ask for less than $15 million. Contreras is going to be the big money signing that you'll have to pay. Winkler, you could let walk. You know, Adam Eaton, you could let walk. Chaffin, you could let walk. Anthony Bass, and find different avenues to spend your money. If you really wanted to, you could try to get rid of Darvish through a trade or Hayward through a trade. But yeah, I feel like we're pretty set. You know, when you would look at the team, you got some young guys who we've signed in free agency like Austin Cox, or there was another guy that I signed, but I don't see him now. Maybe he's underneath. But oh, this guy, Eddie Yeen. But you know, you've got Jensen, Cox, Steele, Franklin, and then, you know, Braylon Marquez is coming up, who made his debut, I think, the last game of the season against the White Sox. You've got Alzolay, and then Chirinos, which I think was a really good addition for us throughout this rebuild. And, of course, Alec Mills. So, like, it's never been the best of the best in terms of pitching, but I definitely feel like we've done a pretty good job with the pieces that we were given or able to get. And, of course, the lineup, we've kind of created a new core, or, you know, players to kind of replace that Bryant and Schwarber holes that left. You know, the new addition being Conforto, and then, obviously, Carter Keyboom, I think, is going to be a good addition going forward in the future. So overall, I really like the team we assembled, especially with those trades that we made. We are ranked 9th, which I think is pretty good. I think it's a little bit underrated. We may not have the same power, but I still think in terms of building a team that's good for the future, and also right now, I really like this team. So let's simulate the season. I'll see you guys at the end of it. So I would say the moves that we made really paid off. 104 and 58, one of the best seasons the Cubs have had in quite some time. And whew, did we look good? I would say 104 wins, won the division by 17 games. We're still ranked 8th, but I mean, we're definitely one of the better teams in baseball. If not, statistically, we're the best team in baseball. We'll have to take a look at like league leaders and things like that. Adam Eaton had the most hits. Yoni Chirinos had the most wins, so it looks like he was a really good pickup for us. Conforto, 2nd for the batting average, which was a good thing to see. You know, I like seeing that. We obviously had Adam Eaton, Michael Conforto as well, which I like that. I like seeing that, which means, you know, we made a good signing, and I felt like that was probably the right signing for us as well. You know, Javi Baez had 41 doubles. For triples, you see Baez with 7 triples. Okay. What about home runs? You've got Yordan, Castellanos, Yelich is there. Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's all right. I mean, once, you know, Yelich, Conforto, I felt like we still made a pretty good pick in Conforto. A Gold Glove, Castellanos won MVP. You've got Yordan, Cy Young. We didn't really win any major awards, but I mean, we still put up some pretty good numbers looking at some of the stats that we have. So let's take a look at our pitching staff, see how everything is looking. Braylon Marquez in his first full season. It wasn't a great year, but it definitely wasn't terrible. Definitely would start to move him into the starting rotation at one point. Gio Gonzalez, again, a player I wasn't 100% sure about, but he wasn't terrible. Andrew Chaffin was it was mediocre. Jordan Romano was actually really good. That's a good bullpen arm that we can rely on. Anthony Bass, kind of the same thing. You've got Rowan Wick, who's still putting up solid numbers. Craig Kimbrell, and then Dan Winkler in the closer spot. Just what he wanted, and those are the numbers that I wanted, so I'm glad that we brought him back for another season. When you look at what we have down here, I mean, I think it would just be Brad Wick, which would be a consideration for me. Maybe Ryan Jensen as like a long reliever or something like that. You look at Kyle Hendricks' numbers, those are definitely Cy Young type numbers there. His best season since we started this rebuild. You look at Yoni Chirinos, again, really good numbers. Yu Darvish has just plummeted in rating, which sucks to see. It really does, because he's, you know, when you have a 2.99 ERA, you would expect him to be able to hold his overall, even at the age of 35. But it happens. Alec Mills, and then, of course, Adbert Alzolay. Pretty solid thing. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning that I did want to bump his rating up to at least a 70 before we actually like started the rebuild. So the offseason going into that first year when we made all those trades and stuff, I bumped him up to like a 70 overall. He was down to like a 63. I felt with the numbers that he put up in real life that, you know, like a 68, 70 overall was a fair rating. But I mean, it looks pretty good. I think that, you know, by the time he's 26 years old, he could maybe put up numbers like this. Maybe low 80s in real life, but what I did is I think I made like everything the low to mid 50s for his per nines. I think that was like the only thing that I changed, and that bumped him up to like a 70. So that was the change that I made for Alzolay, but looks pretty solid. You've got Arizarena, who hit 280. Okay. Caratini, not great. Same with Vargas. Bodie was kind of similar to what he normally does. And we'll take a look at our actual lineup, our starting lineup. Adam Eaton putting up really good numbers in the leadoff spot. That's why I picked him up. We need that leadoff hitter. That's what the Cubs have been lacking. And I feel like if the Cubs can go out and get a true leadoff hitter, I feel like that would take off some pressure of the rest of the hitters. And I feel like that would really help out the team, because you still have Baez, you have Contreras. In real life, if you bring back Bryant, Rizzo, Schwarber, Happ, if you allow those guys to hit in like the 2 through 6 or 2 through 7 spot, if you add Hayward in the mix too, and you get a true leadoff hitter, so much better. But talking about this, we've got Baez. He had a pretty good season, really similar to what he did last year, just cranked up those double numbers. Wilson Contreras had a pretty good season as well, 26 home runs. You look at Michael Conforto with 27 home runs, 103 RBIs, and a 317 average. You love to see it. Love it. Rizzo starting to cool off a little bit. Ian Happ still putting up pretty respectable numbers. Jason Hayward still putting up very good numbers as well. You like to see that. Nico Horner had his best season so far, and that's actually something I'm really happy with. Shows that we have a second baseman for the future. And Carter Kieboom. They're okay numbers. I definitely want to see his hitting stats go up more and more. He's still 23, so he's going to grow. And then when you look at some of the players we have down here, this guy's an 80. So if Carter Kieboom doesn't pan out, we could always throw him in the mix, and I think we'd be just fine. So, all right, it comes down to this, the final season, the postseason, and we absolutely crushed the Phillies. So, how did Darvish do? Not bad, actually. So let's maybe go like that, and then Mills will be the number 5 starter in the rotation. So game 1, we take a 5-1 victory. Game 2, 4-3. Darvish versus Clevenger, we do lose that, but Alzolay versus Lucchesi, we lost that one too. Oh, okay. Not what you want. Not what you want at all. So, how are we gonna do this? Hendricks, Paddock, we lost. Oh no. No. Are we going to get it reverse swept? We're at home. So let's go Chirinos, who's been fantastic for us throughout the entire season. I'll go bottom corner so you guys can see everything. So looking at their team, Jake Cronenworth. I saw on Twitter that someone kind of compared him to a Ben Zobrist without like without the switch hitting and not being able to play the outfield. So kind of just like that utility player in the infield who hits very well. And I kind of see that. That's a decent comparison. Just like a really good utility infielder who knows how to get on base and has a really good swing. I mean, Yeah, not a switch hitter, can't play the outfield, so I mean that it's kind of picking and choosing your pieces, but you know what? It's not a bad comparison. Maybe a little bit more pop, but I mean, still a pretty good player. I think Jake Cronenworth's the real deal. Julio Rodriguez is the first run of the game, and Chirinos, get me out of this. He does. We're only down 1, and there it is. Ian Happ goes deep, ties it up. If Chirinos, I was gonna say, if he can get me through this inning, that would be fantastic, but it's not looking like that's gonna be the case. We're gonna go to Romano. 2-run score, 4-1 game. Okay, 4-2 game. Okay. And Romano gets us out of that. Can we get anything at all? We're gonna take him out. We're gonna go to Rowan Wick. Rowan Wick goes 1, 2, 3. We got 2 innings left to tie this ball game up against Trevor Rosenthal. A double and then a strikeout. That's not what you want. So it comes down to this. Ken Giles coming in. Man, this Padres bullpen is stacked. A walk, okay. A line out. Michael Conforto, that free agent signing. Just what we needed. All right, let's go Chaffin to face the lefties. Boom. Okay, bottom 10. Let's walk it off here against Matt Strom. A fly out, a single. Okay, Carter Keyboom, a double play. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Let's go Anthony Bass or Bass. I don't know what it would be, but let's see if we can do something here. Baez, Contreras. I need the team to do something. Anything at all. I don't think we have. Oh, we do have Gonzalez to go lefty. 1 run scores. Unfortunately, we'll go Kimbrel. Another run scores, and we're down to Jose Castillo. Okay, I'm liking this. We got 1 on, a strikeout, and a line out, and that's us eliminated once again in the NLCS. We couldn't make the World Series. That's super disappointing. And unfortunately, that's where it ends. I mean, I thought we had the team to do it. I feel like we're improving, and I felt like the moves that we made definitely made us a better team in the long run, and it's going to continue to improve. Keyboom, you've got Horner, Baez, Rizzo, Contreras, Conforto now, and a couple young guys in the farm system that look really solid. Plus the pitchers of Braylon Marquez, Alzolay. I think this team's looking pretty good, and I feel like the changes that we made to destroy the core were the right ones. So I hope you guys did enjoy this rebuild. If you did, hit that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoy the content. And of course, in the comment section, let me know who your favorite team is and how they did this season. What is your opinion on them? Did they do bad? Do you think they could have done a little bit better? Let me know down below. I'm going to leave you with 2 videos on screen now. Go and give them a watch if you haven't yet. And of course, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.